Hello and welcome to another episode of Sports and Songs podcast. We're on season 4, episode number 19. Andy, tonight is the sports edition. Are you ready for some sports?
We got a couple things to cover today, yeah.
You know, we're in transition, winter season coming to an end, a lot of tournaments, a lot of postseason championships, a lot of brackets we're dealing with. We also have baseball kicking off, World Baseball Classic, Major League Baseball starting here in, 10 days, 2 weeks?
Yep. End of the month, yeah.
You know, so let's start off. We're going to cover a lot of NCAA basketball. So I think the trivia question should have something to do with that.
That's kind of the way we do it, yeah.
In the history of the NCAA, since the new bracket format, or since when did this go back to? The brackets, the best record, the most wins by a Division I tournament.
I think it's period,
just period.
I believe so, yeah.
Is North Carolina. They have the most number of wins in the postseason NCAA Division I men's basketball tournament. They have 131 wins. Who is second, Andy?
Ooh.
And I suppose we're going to get a lot of guesses out there for second place. But the brain teaser, the bonus is, what's the number? How far are they behind? And so North Carolina didn't make it this year, so their number stayed stagnant.
And you got to remember, with UCLA's run, it was only like 16 teams or 12 teams at the time, so they only had a couple wins in each year. So you got to take that in consideration.
So North Carolina, the Wolfpack are number 131 overall.
North Carolina is the Tar Heels.
North Carolina Tar Heels, not the Wolfpack, not NC State. But
send your hate to Dan. That's Dan.
No Freudian slip. They are not number 2, but there's another team that's number 2, and there's a reason.
All right.
So to say that they're number 2. Yeah. But let's go on with the show. We'll answer it at the end of the broadcast, right, Andy. And remind me so we don't forget. But here's your statistics for our show. Today, by the way, it's March 20th, 2023 for the show. We're at the end of March here, first day of spring.
First day of spring. All right, here we go. Like we said, it's tournament time. Keep calm. We got this. The wrap up girls basketball tournament finished up here in Minnesota. So through the champions, Bold. Okay, Mountain Iron beat Bold in the Class A. I want to say one thing here. You look at that score. That is not a rip on Bold. Bold went through some tough competition in sections. They were the 3 seed going through state. They got there. They played Mountain Iron Bold. That score is not a reflection on Bold's season. So. Providence Academy over Albany in 2A. 3A, Benilde St. Margaret over Stewartville. The 4 seed sneaking in there. And St. Michael Albertville by 1 over Hopkins.
Now that was some game.
That was a nice game. That's one of those games, okay, you say when there's a blowout, you go, hey, it was closer than that. I don't know if you could say this game was closer than 1 point because it was. I mean, it was that close a game. Very good game. So congratulations to all those teams. Now move on to the boys tournament starting here tomorrow already because of the 4C or 4 classes, and they break it down and everybody plays all out. So here we go. Here's the Class A bracket. You got your 1 seed Russell or RTR, Russell Tyler Hutton. The 2 seed was New Life Academy. 3 was Spring Grove. 4 Cherry. 5 the Border West Buccaneers. Then the other 3 teams are random draw. I wish I'd just go 6, 7, and 8 and seed them. You're not going to hurt their feelings, I don't think.
Fair enough.
2A, Holy Family was 1 seed. Albany 2. Plainville 3. Maple River 4. Minnehaha 5. There's the rest of your draws in there. Dilworth getting the random draw going against 3. And you see some of these games are at Williams Arena, some are at Target Center. It's because, like I said, there's 4 brackets. All these games they got to pump through, so they split locations. 3A, Totino Grace is 1, Orono 2, De La Salle 3, Mankato East and Alec area 5. And then there's your others in there. All their first round games are at at William Arena. And the 4A schools, Park Center 1, Lakeville North 2, Wayzata 3. And your 4-5 game is Minnetonka and Eastview. All these games are at Target Center. Buffalo, White Bear Lake area, and Andover are your random draw participants. Now, the Women's Frozen Four is completed. And Wisconsin is your national champion. Now, if you look at it, they beat the number 1 Ohio State in the championships, number 2 Minnesota before that. They only rank the top 4 when they go in, so don't say they were this Cinderella team. They only rank the top 4 in there. Wisconsin's a good team. It's their, what did I say, 7th national championship they've had or something like that. They're just a powerhouse.
Yep.
Not taken away from them. Yes, you beat 2-1, but you weren't a Cinderella story either. You're a very good team, very well-deserved champion. So congrats. Well, that hurts to say. Congratulations, Wisconsin. The men's Frozen Four in Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay. Wow.
Here's the brackets. Let's go break down each one. They got all the Minnesota teams in one bracket there. Up in the Fargo region, they call it. If you have ESPN2 and ESPNU, you can watch the games. There's your TV schedules. Gophers are the number 1 overall seed in the tournament, which means nothing in hockey. Gophers have been number 1 before and lost. So, and again, they rank just the 4 teams. The rest, I'm sure, are ranked, but don't put it in there. So if you want to watch the Gophs, ESPN2 Thursday night the 23rd. Down in the Manchester, New Hampshire region is where Denver is the 4 seed, and they're the top seed over there. Out in New Hampshire, Boston University. Other side of the bracket, Michigan, the 3 seed, with Michigan Tech and Penn State all playing out in Allentown, Pennsylvania. So there's their schedules for you there. Those of you just listening, you can just check this out at the NCAA.com or .org website for all this stuff for the brackets. And there is the Bridgeport, Connecticut, Quinnipiac, your 2 seed. Ohio State is in that bracket over there. And then the final 4, or the Frozen Four, sorry. Easter weekend there, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Semis on the 6th, and the championship game Saturday the 8th on ESPN2. Men's Final Four. We're not going to go through all the brackets are just blowing up. And that's what's the great thing about this tournament. It means nothing anymore, your seeding. It's all fair game. Purdue, the number 1 overall seed, lost the FDU Knights. Here's a starting lineup comparison. There is their national rank for all the Purdue players going into the game. 4-star and 3-star recruits. All the guys for FDU, not available, not ranked.
Wow, I did not see this.
And it gets better. FDU, there is 363 teams in NCAA Division I basketball. They had the 363rd strength of schedule.
Is that for real? I did not know that.
So, yeah. And they beat Purdue. Good for them. Purdue, the last 3 years, Purdue's lost in the first round to a 16 seed, a 15 seed, and I think it was a 13 seed.
Oh, man.
And I'm sorry, it comes down to coaching and the players. The coach has got to go. Purdue's coach has to go. You're the number 1 seed coming in. You lost. You got to go.
Wow. Is that soapbox or just regular?
No, that's just a point, a fact. That's a fact. Soapbox is coming up later. Just relax.
Okay.
Spoiler alert, but the soapbox is coming up.
It is. Oh, good.
Again, we're not going to go through the brackets here, but here's just your times for the basketball this weekend. Kansas State and Michigan State are playing UConn and Arkansas, Tennessee. Tennessee's looking really good. And Florida Atlantic, a 9 seed, and UCLA and Gonzaga. Then Friday, you got Alabama and San Diego State. Houston, the only team I got left in my Final Four, by the way. Houston and Miami. Creighton and Princeton. Princeton, the 15th seed, makes it to the Sweet 16. And then Texas and Xavier. And Saturday and Sunday. Saturday's games on TBS. Sunday on CBS. Now, Arkansas had the upset win there. And there's this fan with their shirt off cheering. That's not a fan, Dan. That's head coach Eric Musselman.
Jeez. I heard something about this.
Tie in there. There's a Minnesota boy.
Till just now. I did not see it. I had heard something about this. That's what he did after the game?
Yep. He was not a fan cheering him on afterwards. That's your head coach, Eric Musselman, ladies and gentlemen.
Brandy Chastain.
And
wow.
Yeah. And, I'm impressed. He's in good shape for a man of his age. And, I'm impressed. Might keep that up as an inspiration picture to shoot for. Women's Final Four. Now, in the women's basketball, the first two games, the highest seed has the home court. So when they do your 14 bracket, like the highest seed is the one it hosts all the time.
Okay.
We're not going to break down their ones. Just a couple of upsets to show you here. The FGCU upset Washington State, and then they're playing Villanova here today. I do not have that final in, but so there's one little upset. The rest have been kind of going par for the course. I'm not putting 9/8 as an upset. I'm not putting some of these other ones as an upset. But here's one. Ole Miss over the number 1 seed Stanford today at Stanford, and they lost by 5. Jeez. Now, fortunate or unfortunate, I don't know. There is no pictures of the Ole Miss coach going topless after this one. So, there you got, Louisville and Texas playing later. That should be a good game there. But Ole Miss with the upset there.
Jeez.
If you look at Ole Miss, the 8-9 game, they handled Gonzaga pretty easy by 23. So they were no slouch.
Yeah, everything changes here in the postseason. It's a different animal.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of brackets, here we go. USA won yesterday to make the championship round for World Baseball Classic. As we speak, Mexico and Japan are playing. So the winner goes on there. There you see some of the advancements. Australia didn't make it in. USA over Venezuela. The USA game last night, to me, wow. I don't know if Cuba was just exhausted or what. And one thing about the Cuban team, and this is not a put down or takeaway, this is how they decided who played on the Cuban team. And me personally, I got no problem with it. If I'm a Cuba fan, I'm got no problem with it. If, first of all, you got to be from that country or have a parent from that country to be eligible. But if you would openly in the media or anywhere ripped on Cuba or its politics, or you have done anything bad against Cuba, they didn't invite you to play.
Okay.
I got no problem with that. I mean, if I don't want some guy who's a USA hater on Team USA. So I can see their point on that. They still made the semifinals. So I'm not saying, well, geez, you should have sucked it up and had good players on there. That game last night, USA was just clicking. So
now everything except for that very top of the first inning, Cuba gets 3 guys on, bases loaded with nobody out on 3 infield hits. And they get out of the jam with only 1 run, and U.S. goes on to beat them up pretty bad. But Cuba just looked really good to start that game.
Yep. Injury reports from you knew this was coming, Dan.
Oh, here we go. Mets players.
Edwin Diaz got carried off. Hurt his knee in a post-game celebration. And Jose Altuve took one off the hand the other day. And also not pictured, because it was hard to find a picture of it happening, Freddie Freeman pulled a hamstring and had to sit out.
Okay.
People were all upset about all these injuries. Here we go. The Mets, Port St. Lucie, Florida. I'm not going to get into the bigger terms. Let's just say he hurt his right knee. Okay. I'm not going to play WebMD here and tell you what happened, but he's done. He's out. He had just signed that $102 million contract in the offseason, and this happened. He should be out 6 months the season. He's not playing this year. He's not going to come back. I think the only reason Diaz comes back this year is if for some reason the Mets are mathematically out of it in August, and he's just doing some rehab pitching, just instead of being in the minors, he'll be at the big leagues. That'd be the only way he'd come back. That would be, 6 months from now is October already. So, September, October. So maybe. Word is, because of the way contracts work, this $102 million this year does not count against the Mets salary cap. So get ready for them to overpay for some help this year. Altuve undergoes surgery after getting hit in the right thumb. Astros site puts out that he will be starting at the opening day. It's first time in years he's not going to be there. So hand injuries, not a good thing, especially when you're an infielder. Does he pull a Bryce Harper, though? Because, look at Bryce Harper last year, hurt his hand. And because of the DH rules, able to DH the entire end of the season, help the Phillies get to the championship. So we'll see there. And here's the official press release from the Astros. Update. This was today. Following surgery, the Astros will have an update on Altuve's prognosis. That's just some great writing there. That's
really, really in depth.
Yeah, guy really uses thesaurus really well there. Okay. The NHL, they're getting to their bracket for playoffs pretty soon. Not gonna go through the whole thing because it's kind of like figuring out, impossible stuff. But NHL playoff format, as a recap, they changed it last couple of years. 16 teams will qualify for the Stanley Cup playoffs. The format is a set bracket that's largely division-based with wild cards. Top 3 teams in each division will make up the first 12 teams in the playoffs. The remaining 4 spots will be filled by the next 2 highest-placed finishers in each conference based on regular season records and regardless of division. So you could be second place in your division, and the other 2 teams were better than you and the other guys. You don't make it. So, yeah. So here's the standings right now. In the Western side there, the Central, you got Minnesota in second behind Dallas, Colorado third, all really kind of bunched up there. Those top 3, if the season ended today, those 3 would make it. In the Pacific, you got Vegas, LA, and Edmonton. And their wild card standings goes the Kraken, the Jets, the Flames, and the Nashville Predators. Are your top 4 right there. In the East, you got Carolina, Jersey, and the Rangers are your top 3 in the Metropolitan Division. Then Boston, Toronto, and Tampa. Boston's just crushing and walking away. Holy Christ. They're just really, really good. I can't say more than that. It's pretty to watch them play. They're just so nice. The Bees, as some people call them. The Boston Bees. In the wild card, you got the Islanders, the Gwens, the Panthers, Caps, Sabres, Ottawa, kind of tightening up there at the bottom half. And as the Stanley Cup, you got the Stanley Cup playoffs and March Madness are the 2 best times of the year, I think. So those are what. Major League Baseball. Here we go. And here it is, Dan. Your favorite part of the show.
Oh, yes. What is it?
People ripping on the World Baseball Classic. The attendance in the pool play had 1.01 million. The A's didn't even draw 800,000 last year.
For the entire season?
Right. And pool play was just a few games. And the rest of the games for World Baseball Classic as of yesterday were sold out for the rest of the tournament. But remember, people don't care about these preseason games, these exhibition games. Bryce Harper's game-winning home run in the 8th inning to send the Phillies to the World Series has 2.2 million views in 5 months. Trey Turner's game-winning home run in the 8th inning to send Team USA to the World Baseball semifinals has 4.5 million viewers in 3 hours.
Oh, man.
But no one cares about these exhibition games, though, Dan.
Yes.
Trey Turner, who played in 43 postseason games, including a World Series, said his home run last night in the World Baseball Classic was the biggest he's ever produced in his career, and that this is the loudest baseball crowd he's ever witnessed. But again, it's a meaningless exhibition game.
Well, it's the whole world watching versus just fans of Major League Baseball.
The whole world's watching in the World Series too. The other countries pick it up.
Yep.
It's on YouTube, for the crying out loud. Anyone could watch that. And here's what that kind of got to me. Benji Gill, manager of Team Mexico, voiced frustration that the World Baseball Classic schedule was changed, forcing them to play tonight without a day off instead of Saturday, simply so that USA could be played on Fox TV. Mexico originally was scheduled to play Saturday since it won Pool C over USA. So, that being said, TV rights were ruling this for these exhibition games that nobody wants to watch. And I get it, Team USA, it's like in the Olympics. They always show the U.S. teams in prime time. That's part of the deal. I think they kind of thought USA was going to win Pool C and not Mexico. That's why. Yeah. So
it's interesting.
Benji Gill's got a point for here.
How they changed it or not, there are some advantages and disadvantages in the World Baseball Classic. There are teams, every team gets a couple days off during the scenario, and then you end up getting back-to-back2-back-games on the other side. So the U.S., although it may have got a favorable thing there, they just had to play 2 straight games already.
Yep. So Mexico plays tonight. Tomorrow's the championship, so they don't get the day off.
And U.S. again back-to-back games themselves. So regardless how you do it, some teams, this argument's going to come up. Not this particular argument, but the days off and the scheduling is going to come up. But I think it came out overall pretty fair. But yeah, he's got a point.
Mexico was good. Like they say, momentum is your next day's starter. So the other thing I hope for that doesn't hurt them is, like, they were kind of worried about it with Team USA last night. If it's a blowout, you only got so many times you can use a pitcher still. So you didn't want to blow that either.
Now, was there a 10-run rule in last night's game or
no? There is no 10-run rule in the semifinals and finals. So
okay.
But you still have the limit on pitches. So
it's an increased limit of pitches, but it's still a limit nonetheless.
And I just love this picture because I think Benji Cool looks pretty badass in that mustache there. He's got that baseball coach look, doesn't he?
He does. I like the guy. He does have a good look about him. They're playing right now. I don't know the score, but they were up 3-0 last I saw.
Yeah, in the 5th, I think it was. Yeah. All right, the Mets. Here we go. Yes, Brandon Nimmo, after he hurt his ankle in the game against the Marlins, he woke up with right knee pain, underwent an MRI on Saturday last week, and revealed he has a low-grade sprain in both the knee and ankle. He's listed week by week, and it's not known if he'll be ready for opening day. Jose Quintina has a rib injury for the left-hander. He's looking at July for a comeback on him. Lots of pitchers for the Mets getting hurt. There's Edwin Diaz off his the Twitter for him. To all my beloved fans, especially the Mets fans, I want to let you know that I'm doing well and healing. I feel blessed and grateful for your support with messages and prayers. Thank you very much. I can't wait to see you guys in New York again and play those trumpets. That's the attitude I want to hear from someone. Sugar's coming back. He's trying to stay positive. He's not saying, woe is me. I'm never doing exhibition again, blah, blah, blah. He's staying positive, letting everybody know that, thanks for thinking of me, not going radio silence, Like I said, if the Mets are totally out of it, maybe, but just to put some butts in the seats.
But now, the offset to that is, Andy, the Mets have the largest payroll, $750 million. They've got so many good hitters, so many good fielders, the top pitchers that money can buy. Is this injury going to even have a blip on the radar?
I think just because the way he was in the bullpen, the season he had last year was such a – I'm not comparing to Mario Rivera, but kind of when you have that closer who's so automatic and key, you as a player think, if we can get through 7.5 or 8 innings, we got Edwin at the end.
Yeah, but he's only going to come in. He's only coming in
half a game almost, or 3/4 of a game.
He's only coming in in the 9th inning, and if they're ahead by 3 or less runs, the Mets lineup this year, I think they're going to win most of their games by more than 4 or 5 runs. He's not even going to be probably coming in that much anyway.
Right.
That's how good they are.
And there were some games last year he was such a shutout guy, and the way Buck is such a great coach, it would be a tight game. They'd bring Edwin in the 8th and someone else to close it out in the 9th.
Yeah.
So you look at all his games, there were some saves he lost because the 8th inning, this team has their 3, 4, and 5 hitter up. We want Edwin pitching.
Oh, yes.
So he did that. The Mets played the system that way. Now, if they got the right guys in the bullpen, which we'll get to a little bit here, we'll see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
And here's their first option right here. I think David Robertson as a closer. He was supposed to be the setup man when they signed him, but he was a closer with the Bronx a few years ago, so he's had the New York pressure. He's a reliever. Is he Diaz? No, that's why he was brought in as the setup guy. He's got 157 career saves over his 14-year career, so it's a little long in the tooth, but still. Ramirez went how long? How long did Rob Beck pitch? How long did all the other great relievers pitch? Lee Smith, If Robertson can come in and get us 30, 40 saves, God forbid, this year, that'd be great.
Oh, yeah.
We had 20 saves with the Cubs and Phillies last year. So if you can get 30 or 40 for us and by committee for the rest, like I said, the 3-headed monster, I'm okay with that. Brad Hand just signed with Colorado. I don't see them being in it very long, so you might be able to pick up guys a little after the All-Star break. Some of these serviceable players from teams Colorado Rocky fans, you're not going to be in it this year. You pick him up after the All-Star break or a little before the trade deadline and other things like that. Look at other moves like this. The Mets did claim Dennis Santana off waivers from the Twins. The Twins just picked up a month ago from the Braves. So you see all the pitching issues the Mets have had. They're going to pick up a lot of guys, leavings from the bullpens coming up.
The Twins, this move happened so fast, the Twins did not even make a press release that Santana was even on waivers, and he was already picked up by the Mets.
Yep. So the Mets are watching that wire tight. So you're going to see a lot of those moves, I think, coming up. Now, here's another guy. I mentioned him a couple weeks ago. Tim LaCrastro of the Mets. He's the guy like Louis Guillorme who doesn't wear batting gloves. And it's kind of watching the spring he's having with all these other guys off the World Baseball Classic. His regular season last year batted 186, had 8 stolen bases and 2 home runs, and 13 runs and 43 at-bats. Spring training, he's at 40 at-bats. These are pretty comparable. He's already got 13 hits. He's at 6 stolen bases, batting 3 1/4.
I see.
Now, yes, it's spring training. He's not going to rewrite the record books and destroy. No. But this is kind of what the World Baseball Classic is offered up to, is he's getting a little more playing time. Playing the outfield. So maybe he might make the cut there and get some more at-bats this year. I got one more thing here I want to bring up. Tall ball knockout cancer, June 10th. Some Crow River League teams and some North Star League teams. There's the link there if you see it on your screen. If not, it's on our Facebook page on social media. Order your shirts for this or hats with your team's logo on it. $20 to $22, depending if you're 22 if you're a wide-chested, long-armed gentleman like myself who needs a larger shirt, and $20 for you little skinny people.
Now, what they're hoping to do with this, Andy, is to make this an annual event at a different location each year.
Yep.
And so this is the first one they're going to, hopefully it should be successful. Look at the teams playing in this. This is a triple header on one day. It's not a tournament, just one game each, and it's done. The funds and the money in the fundraising goes to the Randy Shaver Cancer Research Fund. But this is some good lineup of teams here.
Yeah, and you can put these teams in any order of what schedule you're going to play them in. It doesn't matter. It's not the best teams are last and the bad teams are first. It's just the draw. That's what it is.
Well done. Well done.
That should be fun. That should be a good time. I know we'll be there.
We'll be there for sure. We're helping to promote this event as well.
I think between the two of us, we'll be there all day. If not, you know, I know I'm going to try to catch the last game, see the local team play at the end there, but
now I've got some updates on other sports. You know, we mentioned
if you do see us there, bring your own Sharpie for an autograph.
Exactly. Now I've got some other notes on sports here just to wrap things up. We're doing a lot of we're in transition, like I said earlier at the show. XFL season, the 10-game XFL season for football is at the halfway point. 5 games are done. They'll be just wrapping up now the next 5 weeks. The USFL players report to camp beginning tomorrow. The USFL starts April 15th, runs through the middle of end of June. The Minnesota Twins spring training, 9 games left. Minnesota Wild, 12 games left. And the NCAA postseason tournaments, with an S, tournaments, the NIT, 13 games. 13 games are tonight in the women's NIT going on tonight. Huge night in the women's NIT. If you're looking for something to do, scroll through the ESPN, look at the scores coming in. Big night for the NIT. The men are down to 8 teams left. They're already down to the Elite 8. And I think with the NIT, they only start with 32. This came up last week. I wasn't sure if it was 64 or 32 teams.
I wasn't sure. I thought it was 64.
So they start with 32. They're already down to the Elite 8. Women's, 8 games tonight in the NCAA women's bracket, 8 games. And they'll be down to the Sweet 16 after tonight's games conclude. So basketball moving along very quickly here. And like Andy said, state high school winter brackets, last ones this week. Boys basketball on March Madness is done. All the other tournaments are complete. Women's basketball for girls finished up. Now, I've got a trivia question, Andy. I've got a trivia answer.
The answer on the same day as the question, yeah.
So the question is the number 1 best team for Division I men's basketball at the college level postseason tournament, the most wins of all time. Career wins, North Carolina. The Tar Heels have 131 career wins. Who's in second place? Do you have any thoughts?
Just because it's North Carolina 1, I want to say it's Duke at number 2.
Maybe Kansas.
Kansas is always up there.
UCLA.
Could be. We said UCLA, but like I said, when they had their run, there wasn't 64 teams in. I also think it could be a dark horse, like say a St. John's or Villanova, who's just like you always went to Sweet 16, but they never get past it.
Seton Hall. Back in the day.
Hall. So I'm going to go with Duke, though. Duke had that run in the 80s, 90s or
the answer, and this is going to lead to some further discussion because the answer for number 2 is Kentucky. Kentucky won their first round game, which put them at 130. All they had to do was win one more game to be tied or win a couple of games here in the tournament to leapfrog the Tar Heels. They lose to Kansas State and leaves them stuck 1 game behind North Carolina. So Kentucky's number 2 with 130 career wins in the postseason.
Well, Tar Heel pride still in the tournament, even though they didn't make it. Congratulations, Tar Heels.
Yes, and North Carolina did not make it. They got an invite to the NIT. They declined that. Their season's done. And so going into next year, North Carolina, Kentucky, 1 and 2 going into the postseason. That's the trivia answer for this week. Anything more on sports, Andy?
No, like I said, basketball's wrapping up. Baseball's starting up. We just turn the page and keep going.
I think the Major League Baseball here starting this probably Wednesday and on later on to the week, we'll start seeing some more significant cuts coming from all the Major League teams, sending guys down to AAA.
Yeah.
The lineups, the rosters will be solidified here next week, I'm sure, around this time. So
should be fun. Watch us.
That's all I
hate to say free agents, but the guys who get cut, like with the Mets, they picked up Santana there. You're going to see a lot of quick moves by some teams too.
It will be good. That's all I've got for sports. Anything else this week?
No. Next week we'll recap all the champions.
Should be fun. Have a good week, everyone, and we'll be back here with some lot of updates next week, Monday night. Have a good week.
See ya.
See ya.